Channel 9 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Adelaide. We're going to talk tactics for Alpecin now with Robbie McEwen. And Rob, of course, good mate of yours, Simon Gerrans. He's pretty much wrapped this up for his fourth Santos Tour Down Under, but the job hasn't completely been done yet. The question tactically here is, how does his team cuddle him through it?
Well, Orica Green Edge, they're here just to look after Simon Gerrans in the first instance, get him to the line, everything intact, not lose any time, because he's got a 9-second buffer, which is quite a lot, and Richie Port's not going to manage to get seconds in a sprint. He said himself, I can't sprint out of sight on a dark night. So there's no threat there, but anything can happen if there's a small crash or something happens. So they'll just ride, they'll keep the tempo high at the front to keep Gerrans up the front, out of trouble, and just trying to give him a smooth ride all the way to the finish. But they're also riding for McEwen. That's their, not plan B, but it's almost as important. They'll ride on the front all the way through this stage and try and bring everything back together. The other teams, on the other hand, they'll take advantage of that work, and they're waiting to pounce, take over the lead in that final lap and try and bring all their sprinters to the front.
As someone that was a sprinter for so many years, you always get excited in those final stages, but there are rules, aren't they? The elbows are out and you've got to try and get on someone's wheel, and it's all furious, it's frantic, but there are some things you can do and can't do.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. I mean, the adrenaline is flowing. It's sometimes hard to keep that all under control, and there's a fine line between what you can and can't do. There's certain rules. You can't remove your hands from the handlebars, but it's all about getting position, and sometimes you'll see a bump of shoulders. Great example here, Greg Henderson in the middle in the red, bumping guys off to keep the position on the back of the other team's lead-out train. Now, when it comes to sprinting, you don't want to ride people off the road, but by the same token, you're not obliged to leave the door open and give them a free passage through. So, you know, it's flirting with that line of where the rules are sometimes, and you know, you've got to stay on the right line, because if you go over it, you will get disqualified. But I tell you what, there's always a lot of biff and barge. You know, talk about bring back the biff in footy sometimes. Well, no shortage of it when it comes to the sprints in cycling.
Does it ever get a bit lippy? Did it ever get a bit lippy with you? Did it ever blow up beyond the bike?
Yeah, there's been words exchanged after the finish line, Tim, but during the thing itself, there's maybe no more than a quick shout, because you're at over 190 beats a minute heart rate. You're at your absolute limit, no time for talking. But there's been I've never seen an actual fist fight after the finish, but not far from it. Let's admit, we're cyclists, not footy players. You know, you just got to go out next time and let the legs do the talking.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at that last bit of vision again, because can you tell us exactly what's happening here, Rob, as we look at the argy-bargy and the elbows out of what can happen in a sprint finish?
Yes, well, we see a vision there of 2007, and I recognise the guy with his hands in the air. That's me. Mark Renshaw's the other one. He was trying to come up the inside on the non-windy side. There's a bit of a crosswind blowing, and I just made sure I didn't leave a yawning gap there for him to ride straight through on the protected side out of the wind. So it's about not closing them down into the barriers, but certainly not leaving the door open.
All right, Robbie, always great inside the Alpecin, talking tactics. It's been a great week. We've talked through all sorts of things, sprints and climbs, and the elbows out in those amazing sprints like we just saw there from you.